The night sky above Earth burned red. Buildings lay in ruins. Fire rose from broken streets. The hum of enemy drones echoed through the air like angry wasps. Zara stood alone on a tall rooftop, her black combat suit scorched, her breathing fast. She looked up, not at the city, not at the drones, but at the stars. She whispered, "If anyone's out there, this is your last chance." Inside her hand was a small cracked device, the last signal beacon. She had waited too long. Earth was falling. The resistance was shattered. Her team was either dead or missing. And now she was alone. Zara's fingers hovered over the send button. The message had been prepared weeks ago. Earth resistance down. Enemies closing in. Final beacon, please. If you hear this, come. The device blinked weakly. Battery low. She pressed send. A soft blue light pulsed from the beacon and shot into the sky. Far above, in the dark silence of orbit, that signal cut through the static of space. Zara didn't know if anyone would hear it. But she had no other choice. The enemy was getting closer. Below, in the ruined streets of New Avalon City, the machines moved fast. Tall metal walkers scanned for life. Drones circled above, their red lights sweeping the shadows. The enemy wasn't human. No one really knew what they were. Machines, aliens, or something in between. They had come from deep space 2 years ago, wiping out cities, learning human defenses and adapting. They called themselves the VORN. And now they were winning. Zara's eyes moved quickly. From her rooftop, she saw 500 drones heading toward her building. Time was up. She grabbed her pulse rifle, checked the last energy cell, and ran toward the exit. Running through fire inside the building, flames crackled, and dust filled the air. Walls were crumbling. Zara moved fast down the stairs, coughing. Her boots echoed against concrete. The enemy was above her now. She could hear the metal claws scraping. "Come on, come on." She muttered. She reached the ground floor and slid behind a broken vehicle just as a drone dropped through the ceiling with a loud crash. Its eyes flashed red. It scanned. Zara held her breath. One wrong move and she'd be spotted. But then, a sound. A deep boom from above. The drone paused. Zara looked up. Something was coming high in the sky. Clouds began to twist. The stars faded. A bright object entered. The atmosphere glowing like fire. Zara blinked. A meteor? No. It was moving too perfectly. Controlled. Slowing down. Getting closer. Then, a massive shockwave hit the city. Windows shattered. Alarms screamed. Drones scattered, confused. The object hit the earth outside the city walls. A deep rumble rolled under Zara's feet. Whatever it was. It wasn't part of the Vorn, and it was big. The crater. Half an hour passed. Zara made her way carefully out of the city, avoiding drones, moving like a ghost. She followed the trail of smoke to the impact site. When she reached it, her breath caught in her throat. The crater was at least 50 meters wide, steam rising from the center. The ground was black and broken. In the middle stood a man. He didn't move. He wore armor, not like anything she had seen before. Not Vorn tech. Not resistance gear. It was sleek, dark silver, glowing softly with lines of blue light. In his hands, he held something long, wrapped in black cloth. He knelt, placing it in the ground gently. Zara aimed her rifle but didn't fire. Who was he? Where had he come from? She moved closer. The man suddenly looked up. His eyes locked onto hers. Calm, focused, not surprised. Then he stood. He spoke first. "I heard your signal," he said. His voice was deep but calm, almost tired. Zara didn't lower her weapon. "Who are you?" He stepped closer, slowly. No threat in his movement. "My name is Kale. I was in orbit, searching for something." Zara narrowed her eyes. "You're human," Kale nodded. "From another colony. One Earth forgot long ago, but we didn't forget Earth." Zara stared at him. Her weapon lowered an inch. "Why now?" she asked. "Why come now?" Kale looked at the wrapped object. By his side. He touched it gently. "I couldn't come without this. Took me a while to find my sword." The sword. Zara stepped closer, unsure whether to trust him. "What is it?" she asked, pointing to the cloth-covered object. Kale slowly unwrapped it. Inside was a sword, not like any ancient weapon. This one was built with both steel and tech. It hummed softly. Its edge glowed blue. "This sword," Kale said, "was built long before Earth was attacked. It was made to fight machines like the Vorn." Zara raised an eyebrow. "You expect me to believe that sword can stop drones?" Kale gave a small smile. "Not alone, but it's a key. A weapon, a symbol, and something more." Zara stepped back. She didn't know if she should run or help him. "I don't have time for legends," she said. "The Vorn are closing in. I have one last lab left, one last plan." Kale turned toward the city. "Then we go, together." Enemies rebooting back. In the city, the drones had started moving again. The shockwave had only slowed them. Now they regrouped, scanning for life signs. They picked up two. One was Zara. The other, they didn't recognize. New DNA. Unknown threat. Command priority. Eliminate immediately. 10 drones began moving toward the crater. Zara heard them coming. "We have company," she said. Kale didn't respond. He simply lifted the sword. It hissed as the blade fully powered up. The first drone arrived. Fast and deadly. Zara raised her rifle. Kale moved first. Different kind of fight. With one slash, the sword cut through the drone's armor like paper. Sparks flew. The machine dropped. Twitching. Zara froze. The drones attacked. Kale spun through them. His movements sharp and graceful, like a dancer. The sword flashed blue in the dark. Each strike was perfect. Drones exploded one by one. Zara fired at the edges, covering him. Together, they took down the entire unit in under a minute. When the last drone fell, silence returned. Kale stood still. His sword pulsed. No scratch on his armor. Zara walked up beside him, breathing hard. "What are you?" she asked. Kale looked at the sky. A reminder that humanity was never weak. "To be continued. The camera slowly pulls back, showing the destroyed battlefield, the glowing sword, and the two figures walking into the firelit city. Voice over, optional for video. When all hope was gone, something ancient returned. Not to save us, but to fight beside us. The wind was cold as Zara and Kale walked through the burning ruins of New Avalon City. Smoke covered the streets. The sky above was dark, filled with the silent hum of distant Vorn ships. But the man walking beside her was even more strange than the machines in the sky. His armor was smooth, made of a silver-black metal that shimmered in the dim light. His sword, the one he called a key, hung at his side, glowing faintly. Zara kept glancing at him. "You're not from any Earth base," she finally said. "That tech, we've never seen anything like it." Kale nodded but said nothing. She stopped walking. "You said you're human, but you don't act like one. Where are you really from?" Kale turned slowly toward her. His eyes were calm. Distant. "I was born on Terra 7, he said. "One of the deep colonies. We left Earth 300 years ago. Back when wars here nearly destroyed it." Zara raised an eyebrow. "Earth didn't survive those wars. Only scattered cities like this. One did, and now even they're falling." Kale looked at the ruined buildings around them. "You lasted longer than we expected," he said. Zara didn't like the way he said we. A shared goal, they entered the underground ruins of an old train tunnel. The walls were cracked, covered in vines and old graffiti. This place had once been full of life. Now only ghosts remained. "I need to reach my lab," Zara said. "There's something there. A last weapon. Maybe it can stop the Vorn, or at least slow them." Kale gave a small nod. Then I'll take you there. Zara stopped again. Why are you helping me? Why now? Earth called for help 2 years ago. Kale looked at her, silent for a moment. Then he spoke softly. We heard, but we didn't answer. Our leader said Earth was lost. That helping would be a waste. Zara's jaw tightened. So why are you here? Kale looked down at his sword. Because I didn't agree. The sword's secret. They stopped to rest inside an old bunker. Zara lit a small heat lamp. The air was thick with dust. Kale sat on a broken chair, sword beside him. Zara stared at the weapon. That sword, she said. How does it work? Kale gently placed it in front of him. It's a living weapon, he said. Part machine, part energy. It connects to the wielder. Learns, grows. It was made to fight AI. Machines that couldn't be stopped with bullets or bombs. Zara leaned closer. Was it made for you? Kale shook his head. No, it was made for someone greater. But he's gone now. I carry it in his place. Zara could hear the pain in his voice. She didn't ask more. Footsteps in the dark suddenly. The heat lamp flickered. The floor vibrated. Zara froze. Something's coming. Kale stood, sword in hand. From the hallway behind them, the sound of metal feet echoed, slow. Steady, heavy. Zara grabbed her rifle and whispered, That's not a drone. That's a hunter unit. Kale moved silently toward the door. The wall exploded. A tall black Vorn hunter burst through, 7 feet tall. Armored, its red eyes glowing. Zara fired. The shots bounced off. Kale charged. The fight was fast and brutal. The hunter swung a heavy plasma blade. Kale blocked it with his sword. Sparks flew. Their blades screamed as they clashed again and again. Zara tried to flank the machine, but it moved too fast. Kale moved like water, dodging, striking. His sword lit up with every hit. Finally, with one powerful swing, he cut through the hunter's chest. The machine dropped. Smoke filled the air. Zara coughed. That was not normal. Kale wiped his blade and said nothing. A growing threat as they moved forward. Zara opened a small communicator. Still working, she muttered. The lab is 5 kilometers south. Kale looked at the sky through a hole in the roof. The enemy knows we're here. They'll send more. They're always sending more, Zara said. We've been running for 2 years. It's what we do now. Kale turned to her. And yet, you still fight. Zara met his eyes. Because we don't have a choice. We either fight or die silent. Kale said nothing. But in his eyes, Zara saw something strange. Respect. Memories of fire as they walked. Zara told him stories about her team, the first attacks, the fall of the great cities. The last stand at Europa Gate. Kale listened quietly. Finally she asked him, You said someone else used that sword before. What happened to him? Kale stopped walking. He was my brother. Zara blinked. What happened to him? Kale looked away. He fought a war like this, on another world. Against another AI. He won. But he didn't survive. Zara's voice softened. I'm sorry. Kale didn't respond. But she could see his hands tighten around the sword. An unexpected signal. They reached the edge of the industrial zone. The buildings were taller here, broken factories and dark towers. Suddenly, Kale raised his hand. Wait. A faint sound. Beeping. A distress signal. Human. Zara moved toward the source and found a crushed resistance helmet. The signal was still active. Zara frowned. This code, it's from my team. But they were all. She stopped. Kale stared at her. Someone survived? Zara activated her scanner. Signals moving. Fast. Kale narrowed his eyes. Or someone wants you to think that. The enemy's trap. They followed the signal into a half-collapsed building. Inside, it was too quiet. Kale looked at the floor. No footprints. No signs of human life, Zara whispered. It's a trap. Then the ceiling crashed down. They jumped aside as 2 more hunter units dropped from above, followed by 6 drones. Red lights flashed. Guns raised. Kale threw his sword like a spear. It spun through 2 drones, cutting them in half. Zara dropped low, fired at the rest. Kale caught the sword as it flew back and charged into the fight. Blades clashed. Zara rolled behind cover and shot a drone off Kale's back. The 2 worked like a unit, fast, focused, deadly. Within minutes the enemy was down, but Kale was bleeding. The warrior fall. Zara ran to him. A sharp metal shard was stuck in his side. Blood, dark red, thick, poured out. "You're human," she whispered. "You really bleed," Kale grunted. "It's nothing." Zara helped him sit. She used her last med kit. "You can't keep fighting like this, even with that sword." Kale looked at her. "You still don't understand," he said. "I'm not here to win this war." Zara froze. "Then why are you here?" Kale looked up at the stars. "I'm here to make sure you do." A new resolve that night. They hid in the basement of a dead library. The wind howled outside. Zara sat beside Kale, who rested quietly, his sword across his chest. She stared at the blade. "For years, I thought we were alone," she whispered. "Now you fall from the sky and tell me there's more of us out there." "There is," Kale said softly. "But they've forgotten Earth. We need to remind them." Zara nodded slowly. "Then let's remind them together." To be continued. Final shot, the sword glowing in the dark. Kale sleeping, healing. Zara standing at the broken window, watching the stars. Voiceover, optional for video. He came from the stars, not as a savior, but as a spark. Now the fire of Earth's resistance burns again. The sun barely rose over New Avalon City. The sky looked orange and dirty, filled with smoke and the smell of burning metal. In a ruined library basement, Kale slowly opened his eyes. His hand rested on his sword, fingers curled tightly as if he had been fighting even in his dreams. Across from him, Zara sat on the cold floor. Her back leaned against the wall, her rifle across her knees. She hadn't slept all night. Her eyes were red and heavy, but her mind stayed sharp. She watched Kale carefully. When he moved, she raised an eyebrow. "You sleep like a rock," she sighed, her voice dry. Kale shifted and looked at her. "It's the first real sleep I've had in weeks." Zara looked away. "We don't sleep here." "Not really, we just close our eyes and hope the morning comes." Kale sat up, groaning softly. The wound on his side was bandaged, but blood had seeped through. He touched it lightly, then looked at Zara. "You saved me," he said. She shrugged. "I didn't do it for you. I did it because I can't carry that sword myself." Kale gave a small smile. "Honest, I like that." A heavy choice. Zara stood and moved toward a broken window. She looked at the city skyline, what was left of it. Towers leaned like broken bones. Smoke rose in every direction. "The lab is close," she said quietly. "If we move fast, we can reach it before sunset." Kale nodded. He stood and lifted his sword. The blade shimmered slightly, sensing its master's pain. "You can stay," Zara said suddenly. "You're hurt. You don't have to come with me." Kale walked forward, stopping just behind her. "You know I won't stay behind." She turned to face him. Their eyes met. For the first time, she saw not just a fighter, but a man carrying heavy sorrow. A man who had lost more than she could imagine. "Fine," she said at last, "but don't slow me down." The hidden path they moved through, side streets and underground tunnels. Zara knew every path, every hidden corner, every old door. She had mapped this city for years while fighting the Vorn. Kale followed her silently, his steps quiet despite his armor. At one point, they crawled through a broken subway. Tunnel filled with water. The smell was strong and bitter. Rats scurried past them. Kale moved slowly to avoid splashing. Zara smirked. Not so easy without a fancy spaceship, huh? Kale shook his head. Earth's underworld has more life than some whole planets. She laughed softly. It was the first time he heard her laugh. For a few seconds, they almost forgot the world outside. Ambush in the ruins, they climbed out of the tunnel near an old marketplace. Stalls were broken, hanging signs blown away. Broken toys, rusted food cans, and dead drones lay everywhere. Kale looked up suddenly. His hand moved to his sword. What? Zara whispered. Kale closed his eyes. We're not alone. Just then, energy shots fired from above. They ducked behind a broken wall. The air smelled like burning plasma. 3 Vorn hunters jumped from a nearby building. Their armor was thick, eyes glowing red. Each carried an energy spear. Zara cursed and raised her rifle. Kale dashed forward, sword flashing. The first hunter lunged at Kale, but he turned aside, slicing its arm off in one smooth move. Sparks exploded. The hunter shrieked, charging again. Zara took shots at the second hunter, aiming at joints and weak points. Her bullets bounced, but she managed to crack its faceplate. The machine swung at her. She rolled and fired point blank, destroying its core. Kale fought the last 2 at once. He moved like lightning, jumping, twisting, using the broken walls to flip and strike from above. One hunter fell, then another. When it was over, Kale stood breathing hard, blood dripping from his side again. Zara looked at him, eyes wide. You're insane. Kale wiped his sword. So are you. You stayed to help. She smirked, checking her ammo. I guess that makes us even. The first real trust after the fight. They sat behind a collapsed bus to rest. Kale rewrapped his wound. Zara shared her last water bottle. For a moment, there was silence. Finally, Kale spoke. You didn't run back there. Zara looked down. I learned early. If you run, you die tired. Kale gave a small nod. You're stronger than you think. Zara didn't respond. But something changed in her eyes, a small spark of warmth. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small photo. It was old and torn. In it, a young girl stood with a group of people smiling. Zara's finger brushed over it gently. My family, she said quietly. All gone. I fight because I don't want their story to end here. Kale looked at the photo for a long time. That's why you'll win, he said. Zara put the photo back and stood up quickly. Let's keep moving before I start crying like an idiot. Kale smiled for the first time. Fair enough. They reached the lab entrance by sunset. It was hidden behind a giant billboard showing an old Earth advertisement for space travel. Reach the stars. Find your future. The irony wasn't lost on either of them. Zara entered a long code into a rusty control panel. The wall slid open, revealing a dark tunnel. Inside, flickering lights showed rows of old tech, dusty screens, and half-finished machines. At the center was a large metal chamber, covered in cables and tubes. Kale stepped forward. This is it? Zara nodded. The last human weapon. We called it the Pulse Core. It was supposed to create an energy wave that disables AI systems across an entire continent. Kale walked around the chamber, touching the cold metal. Why wasn't it used? It's incomplete, Zara said. We lost the main power crystal. Without it, it can't even start. Kale paused. Then he pulled something from his belt, a small, glowing blue crystal. Zara's eyes went wide. What? Where did you get that? Kale handed it to her. From an old station orbiting Jupiter. I took it before coming here. I thought it might be useful. Zara held it like a treasure. Her hands shook. This can finish it. Kale nodded. Then do it. Working together for hours, Zara worked. Kale helped, using his tools and knowledge. Sparks flew. The room shook several times as power surged through the old cables. As they worked, They talked. Zara asked about Terra 7. Kale told her about huge glass cities, endless green fields under domes, children learning to fight before they learn to. Right, Kale asked about Earth's final years. Zara described empty cities, the first signs of the Vorn, how people hid underground, and how she had lost every friend one by one. Each story brought them closer. A new plan. By midnight, the pulse core was ready. The main chamber hummed with a deep, powerful energy. Zara wiped sweat from her forehead. It's done. Kale placed a hand on her shoulder. Then tomorrow we strike. Zara looked at him, eyes determined. We do this together. Kale nodded. An unlikely alliance, he said. Zara. The cost. Zara turned around, searching. Kale! She saw him kneeling, sword stabbed into the floor to keep himself up. His armor was cracked, covered in dark blood. She ran to him. We did it. Kale, we did it. Kale looked up at her, smiling. Weakly, yes, you did it. She knelt and held his shoulders. Stay with me, we can fix you. Kale's eyes softened. No, this is your fight now. Earth needs you, not me. Zara shook her head. No, don't you dare. Kale raised a shaking hand and touched her cheek. You're not alone anymore. Remember that. His hand dropped. The blue glow of the sword slowly faded. Silence filled the lab. Zara screamed, holding him tightly. A new dawn. Hours later, the first sunlight touched the city ruins. Zara stood on the lab roof, holding the sword. The wind moved through her hair. She looked at the quiet streets. No drones, no hunters. Just silence. She raised the sword high above her head. We are still here, she shouted. Earth stands. A distant echo answered. Other survivors, hidden for years, slowly stepped into the open, hearing her call. To be continued. Final shot. Zara standing strong with Kale's sword. New fighters gathering below her. The rising sun behind them. Voice dash over. optional for video. From the stars came a warrior, but from the ground rose a leader. The fight is not over. It is only beginning. The morning after the battle felt unreal. The sun rose slowly over the silent ruins of New Avalon City. For the first time in years, no Vorn drones flew across the sky. No red eyes glowed in the shadows. Only the soft wind moved, carrying dust and pieces of old posters through the empty streets. Zara stood on top of the lab roof. She held Kale's sword in her hands. The blade felt heavy, as if it carried his spirit inside it. She looked down at the city, her eyes scanning for any sign of life. All around her, people began to appear. Survivors came out of hiding, from basements, tunnels, and broken buildings. Their eyes were wide and scared, but they followed her voice when she called. Zara lifted the sword above her head. The morning light shone on it like a beacon. "We are alive," she shouted. "This city is ours again. The Vorn are gone." Cheers rose weakly from below. People hugged each other, cried, and looked up at her with new hope. For the first time in a long while, they believed they could fight again. A new command center inside the lab. Zara worked fast. Screens flickered with error messages, old codes, and broken data. She connected the remaining power cores to old communication arrays. She turned to an engineer, a young man named Eric, who had been hiding underground for months. His face was thin, eyes sunken, but his hands were steady. "Eric," Zara said, "we need to reconnect with every survivor cell. Can you open the old comm lines?" Eric nodded, typing quickly. Sparks flew from a broken panel, but he didn't stop. "It will take some time. The main antenna is damaged." Zara looked at him firmly. "We don't have time. The Vorn will return. We have to prepare before they send more ships." Eric swallowed hard and nodded again. "Understood." Zara walked to the center table. The sword lay there, glowing faintly. She ran her fingers along its edge. It felt alive, humming softly as if whispering Kale's last words to her. Whispers of betrayal. Suddenly, an older woman named Mira, a medic and one of the first survivors to arrive, stepped forward. She looked worried. "Zara," Mira said, lowering her voice. "We found something, or rather someone." Zara turned sharply. "Who?" Mira pointed to the back room. There, tied to a chair, sat a young man with messy hair and a bloody face. His eyes darted around like a trapped animal. Zara stepped forward slowly. "Who is this?" Mira frowned. "He was sending signals to the sky. We caught him in the east sector." Zara's eyes narrowed. "Signals to who?" The young man looked up, his lips trembling. Please, I didn't want to. They forced me. They said they would kill my family." Zara's voice was cold. "What did you tell them?" The man's voice cracked. "I gave them your location and details about the lab. They promised to take me with them when they left Earth." Zara closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, they were hard as steel. She stepped forward and grabbed his chin roughly. "You betrayed us all," she said. "Because of you, Kale died." The man started to sob. Zara let him go and turned away. "Lock him in the lower bunker. We'll decide his fate later." 2 guards dragged him away as he cried and begged for mercy. A shocking discovery later. That day, Eric ran up to her, out of breath. "Zara, you need to see this." She followed him to the main screen. Eric pointed at a signal on the map. "It's the Vorn mothership," Eric said. "It's coming back into orbit. And there's something else," he typed quickly. A small window appeared on the side. It showed a weak, broken signal. "It's coming from the mothership," Eric said. It's human." Zara leaned forward. "A human? On the mothership?" Eric nodded. "It's weak, but it keeps repeating. The same message, help me. This is Lieutenant Eric, trapped on Vorn's ship. Please." Zara felt a chill. "A human prisoner." Maybe a survivor from another battle. Or maybe someone important. Mira stepped closer. It could be a trap. Zara thought for a moment. Then she stood straight. Trap or not, we can't leave him. He might have information about their plans, or he might be the key to stopping them for good. The plan that night, Zara gathered the survivors in the main hall of the lab. The air was heavy with tension. Everyone watched her closely. She stood on a broken platform, holding the sword in one hand. The Vorn are coming back, she said loudly. We don't know when, but they will. And when they do, we must be ready. She looked around the room. Faces full of fear, but also a spark of hope. There's a man trapped on their mothership, she continued. If he is telling the truth, he might help us destroy them from the inside. Someone in the crowd shouted, "It's suicide." Another voice said, "We should hide." Zara raised the sword. The room fell silent. "We have hidden long enough," she said firmly. "Hiding only delays the end. We need to fight back. We have the pulse core. We have this sword. And we have each other." Slowly, heads started to nod. A murmur of agreement moved through the crowd. She lowered the sword. "Tomorrow, I will go. I won't force anyone to come with me. But if we succeed, we might end this war forever." A young woman stepped forward. She held a small knife, her hands shaking. I will go with you." Then another person stepped forward, and another. Soon, half the room stood behind her. Zara felt her heart tighten. She looked up, whispering to the stars, "Kale, we're not alone anymore." The night before that night, Zara sat alone in the lab, cleaning the sword. Mira brought her food, but she barely touched it. Mira sat beside her. "Are you scared?" Zara laughed bitterly, terrified. Mira nodded. "Good. Only fools aren't scared." Zara looked at her. "Why did you decide to stay? You could have run far from here." Mira smiled softly. "I watched my family die when the Vorn came. I hid for years, but today, when I saw you raise that sword, I saw something I haven't seen in years." "What?" Zara asked. "Hope," Mira said simply. Zara looked at the sword again. It hummed faintly in her hands. She closed her eyes, imagining Kale's voice. "You're not alone anymore." She whispered, "Thank you for believing in me." A new dawn, a new fight. At sunrise, the small group gathered near the city's edge. Eric checked their gear, Mira prepared medical packs, and the other volunteers adjusted weapons and armor pieces they had scavenged. Zara stepped in front of them, sword on her back, rifle in hand. "Today," she said, "we step into the heart of the storm. We will board that ship, find Lieutenant Eric, and end this, once and for all." A soft wind blew across their faces. Some looked afraid, but none turned away. They started moving toward an old spaceport, hidden under the city. Broken shuttles and destroyed supply ships lay everywhere. One small transport ship remained intact, barely. Eric ran forward. "This one can fly," he said. "We can use it." Zara climbed into the cockpit. Dust covered every surface. She wiped it away and checked the controls. "This ship will get us there," she said. "It may not bring us back." The group exchanged looks, but no one backed down. Lift-off the ship roared to life. Old engines coughed and sputtered, but finally started. The survivors strapped in. Mira sat beside Zara, gripping her seat tightly. Zara held the controls with steady hands. She glanced once at the sword beside her. Feeling Kale's presence, "Here we go," she whispered. The ship lifted slowly, shaking violently. Dust and metal pieces fell around them. Outside, survivors watched, some waving, some crying. As the ship broke through the clouds, the city below grew small and distant. Above, the stars shone bright and cold. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then they saw it, the Vorn mothership. A massive dark shape against the stars, like a floating nightmare. Entering the beast, Zara guided the ship toward the motherships. Side hangar. Eric hacked into the old codes Cal had taught him. Finally, a small door opened. They landed roughly, metal screaming under the ship's weight. The door opened and cold air rushed in. Zara led the way, sword drawn. Mira followed. Then the rest. Inside, the ship felt alive. Walls hummed. Lights pulsed like a heartbeat. Strange symbols glowed along the halls. As they moved deeper, they saw human remains, old armor pieces, helmets, bones. Zara felt rage burning in her chest. "This ends today," she whispered. The first battle inside. Suddenly, Vorn guards appeared. Tall, black-armored, with electric staffs. They attacked without warning. Zara jumped forward, swinging the sword. Sparks and metal flew. Behind her, Eric shot with his pulse rifle. Mira stabbed one guard with a small blade. The hall echoed with screams and explosions. One by one, the Vorn fell, but the group also took hits. Eric fell to the ground, blood spreading fast. Mira pulled him aside, hands shaking as she tried to stop the bleeding. Zara turned, eyes wild. "Keep moving. We have to reach Eric." Mira nodded, tears running down her face. Finding the prisoner, they finally reached a dark chamber at the center of the ship. A single cell glowed. Inside, a man knelt, head down, chained. Zara slammed her hand on the panel. The cell opened slowly. The man looked up. His eyes were tired but fierce. "You came," he said weakly. Zara ran to him and helped him stand. "Lieutenant Eric?" He nodded slowly. "We don't have much time. They're bringing the core online. If they finish, Earth is done." Zara helped him walk. "Then we destroy it." Facing the core, they reached a giant room. In the center stood a massive reactor, pulsing with blue energy. Dozens of Vorn soldiers waited, guarding it. Zara looked at the sword. She heard Kale's voice again. "It's not just a weapon. It's a key." She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, then stepped forward. With a loud cry, she charged. The sword glowed brighter than ever before, each slash cutting through enemy after enemy. The others followed, fighting with all their strength. Eric crawled to the reactor's control panel, typing commands as fast as he could. The ground shook. The core started to crack. A final blows arrow ran to Eric. "Is it done?" Eric nodded weakly. "It's over. The ship will explode from inside." Zara looked at Mira and the few left. "We have to get out." They ran back to the hangar, carrying the wounded. As they reached the ship, alarms screamed all around. Zara looked back once, seeing the core explode in blue fire. She whispered, "Kale, this was for you." Escape and aftermath. The ship took off seconds before the mothership exploded in a massive shockwave. Debris flew in all directions, but they pushed through, fire blazing behind them. When they finally reached Earth's atmosphere, Zara fell into her seat, exhausted. She looked at Mira, Eric, and the few remaining fighters. They were alive. Barely, but they had done it. To be continued. Final shot. The Earth below, quiet but alive. Zara holding the sword, looking out the window. A single tear rolling down her cheek. Voiceover, optional. They went into the heart of the storm and came back as the spark of a new dawn. The sky was dark and heavy with smoke when Zara's ship touched down on Earth again. The ruins of New Avalon City spread below like a broken puzzle, shattered buildings, empty streets, and the silent shadows of a war long fought. But this time, the city felt different, alive, hopeful. Zara sat in the cockpit, her hands still trembling from the fight inside the Vorn mothership. She held Kale's sword close, its faint glow a small comfort against the cold silence. Around her, the few survivors who had made it back looked tired but alive. Mira checked the wounded, and Lieutenant Eric sat quietly, staring out the window, his face pale but determined. Zara took a deep breath. "We did it," she whispered. "We stopped the core. The Vorn won't control Earth anymore." Eric, the young engineer, gave a weak smile. For now. A quiet before the storm, the group made their way to the underground command center Zara had helped rebuild. Survivors gathered there, whispering news of the explosion and the weakening Vorn forces. Zara addressed the crowd. "We have a chance to fight back and take our world back. But we must be careful. The Vorn are clever. They will try to trick us." Her voice was strong, but inside, doubt gnawed at her. The wounds she and her team carried were deep, and the enemy had not yet been defeated. Unseen Eyes days passed. The survivors worked together to repair communications and rebuild defenses. Zara felt a growing unease. Small things were out of place, supplies missing, messages delayed, guards falling. Asleep on duty, one night, Zara stood watch alone on the roof. The city was silent, but in the distance she saw a flicker of light, a signal. Fast and irregular, she activated her communicator. "Eric, check the security logs." Eric's voice came back nervous. "Someone's been hacking into our systems." From inside, Zara clenched her fists. "A traitor." Whispers of doubt. Zara called a meeting with her closest team. Mira, Eric, and a few trusted fighters gathered. "We have a leak," Zara said. "Someone is working with the Vorn." Eric shook his head. "But who? Everyone here is fighting to survive," Myra frowned. "Sometimes fear makes people do terrible things." Eric looked serious. "We need to find out before more damage." "Is done," Zara nodded. "We will, but be careful. The traitor could be anyone." The traitor revealed for days. Zara and Eric watched, studied, and listened. They set traps in the communication network. And then, late one night, the truth came. It was Jaren, a soldier who had joined the resistance months ago. Once loyal, but now working for the VORN. Zara confronted him in a dark corridor. His face was hard, eyes cold. "You betrayed us," she said quietly. Jaren smiled bitterly. "I did what I had to. The Vorn promised safety for my family. They said if I helped, they would spare them." Zara shook her head. "Your family is gone. You're helping monsters." Jaren's voice was low. "You don't understand. This war isn't just about Earth. It's about survival." Before Zara could react, Jaren lunged, pulling a hidden blade. Zara dodged and drew Kale's sword. They fought fast, fierce, but Zara was stronger. Finally, she knocked Jaren's blade away and pinned him to the wall. "You're finished," she said. Jaren smiled sadly. "Maybe, but the war isn't." A dangerous secret. Zara ordered Jaren locked away. But something bothered her, his words, his fear, his knowledge. She called Eric. "We need to talk." Eric nodded and came quickly. Zara shared what she had learned about the Vorn's true plan. "They want more than Earth," she said. "They want the whole system. They're not just invaders, they're colonizers." Eric's face grew dark. "That means they have forces beyond what we've seen." Zara clenched her sword. "We need allies." A risky message using the repaired communication arrays. Zara sent a coded message to the colonies Kale had spoken about, Terra 7 and others. It was a call for help. Days passed without a reply. Then, unexpectedly, a ship appeared in Earth's orbit, large, sleek, and armed. A voice came over the comms, cold and commanding. "I am Commander Solara of the Terran fleet. We have received your call." Zara felt hope and fear clash inside her. The battle was far from over, but now they were not alone. The final warning. Zeller's ship docked with the underground command center. Zara met her in the dim light. Solara was tall, sharp-eyed, and carried herself like a queen. "The Vorn are stronger than you think," Solara said. "They have weapons we have never seen." Zara nodded. "We stopped the core." "But Jaren." Warned me they have others. Solara looked grim. Then we must prepare for the final battle. The calm before the storm that night. Zara stood on the roof again, sword in hand. The city was quiet. The stars were bright. Mira joined her. Are you ready? Zara looked at the sword's faint glow. I have to be. Mira smiled softly. You're not alone. Zara breathed deeply. Tomorrow the fight would begin again. To be continued. Final shot. Zara raising the sword to the stars. A new fleet glowing in orbit above Earth. Voice, dash over, optional. Betrayal cuts deep, but the fire of hope burns stronger. The war is far from over. The new dawn over Earth's battered horizon was not peaceful. It was a fragile silence before the storm. Zara stood on the roof of the rebuilt command center, gripping Kale's sword. Its faint blue light pulsed in her hand like a heartbeat. Behind her, the Terran fleet ships orbited quietly, their weapons ready but silent. Commander Solara had brought hope, and with it, new danger. Zara looked out across the city. The people below moved with purpose now, stronger, united. But Zara knew the shadows were lengthening. The Vorn were preparing to strike back harder than ever. A call to arms inside the command center. The air was tense. Survivors and Terran soldiers gathered for briefing. Zara stood at the front, beside Solara and Eric. Solara's voice was sharp. The Vorn have regrouped. We've detected multiple fleets moving toward Earth. They want to crush this rebellion before it grows. Eric pointed at the map. Their main base is hidden deep in the asteroid belt. It's well guarded, but it's the heart of their operations. Zara stepped forward. If we destroy that base, we cut off their reinforcements. We might end this war. Mira looked worried. How do we get there? The fleet is strong. Solara smiled coldly. With a strike team. Small, fast, and deadly. You, Zara, will lead it. The room fell silent. All eyes were on Zara. Preparing the strike for days, Zara trained with the Terran soldiers. The new technology amazed her ships faster than anything she'd seen. Weapons that could pierce the toughest armor, shields strong enough to stop energy blasts. But it wasn't just about gear. Zara had to prepare her team, to make sure they trusted each other. Among the new recruits were fighters from other colonies, survivors. From worlds the Vorn had crushed. One fighter, Lyra, stood out. She was quick, clever, and fierce. She and Zara trained together, sharing stories of loss and hope. Kale's sword. Lyra said one night, touching the blade carefully. It's more than a weapon. It's a symbol. Zara nodded. It's why we fight. The enemy strikes. First, just as the team finished preparations, alarms blared. The city's defenses were under attack. Zara raced to the control room. Screens showed Vorn ships pouring through the atmosphere, firing energy beams, dropping walkers. Defend the city. Solara shouted. Terran ships engage. Zara grabbed her rifle and ran outside. The sky was dark with enemy fighters. Explosions lit the horizon. She took cover behind a broken wall, firing at the incoming drones. Sparks flew as her bullets hit armored shells. A walker stomped nearby, its metal feet crushing everything in its path. Zara aimed for its joints and fired a grenade. The walker stumbled and fell. Beside her, Lyra fought off two hunters, moving like lightning. Together, they pushed back the enemy. A costly victory. After hours of fighting, the Vorn retreated, leaving behind wreckage and silence. Zara surveyed the battlefield. Many were wounded or dead. Mira helped the injured, her hands steady but her face pale. Eric approached Zara. They will come again, he said grimly. Stronger next time. Zara nodded. We have to strike first. The asteroid belt base. Solara joined them. The fleet is ready. We launch at dawn. Into the void, Zara's strike team boarded the fast ship. The engines roared as they broke Earth's atmosphere and sped toward the asteroid belt. The cold darkness of space surrounded them. Stars glittered cold and distant dot inside the ship. Tension was high. Every shadow felt like a threat. Zara looked at her team, brave but scared. "We do this for Earth," she said. "For those who can't fight, stay close and trust each other." Lyra smiled. "And for Kale." The asteroid belt. They reached the asteroid field. Giant rocks floated silently, hiding dangers. Zara piloted the ship carefully, weaving between massive boulders. Suddenly, Vorn patrol ships appeared, attacking without warning. The strike team fired back, dodging blasts. Zara swung Kale's sword at a boarding drone, cutting it clean in half. The battle was fierce, but brief. The team destroyed the patrols and moved deeper into the belt, the hidden base at the center of the asteroid belt. They found the Vorn base, an enormous fortress of metal and light. The team landed on a rocky platform. Zara led them inside, sword glowing to light the dark halls. The air was cold, mechanical sounds echoed. Vorn guards appeared from hidden doors. Zara and her team fought hard. The halls were traps full of danger at every step. They moved quickly, following Eric's map to the core control room, the heart of darkness. The core room was massive. A giant machine pulsed with dark energy. Zara saw the Vorn leaders, towering figures in black armor. They laughed coldly. "You cannot stop the Vorn," one said. "This galaxy will be ours." Zara raised the sword. "Not while I live." The battle erupted. Clash of Titans. Zara fought with all her strength. The sword's glow grew brighter, cutting through armor and steel. Lyra covered her back, taking down enemies with swift moves. Eric and Mira worked on the core, planting explosives. As the core began to overload, the Vorn unleashed their secret weapon, a massive war machine, far stronger than anything before. Zara and her team fought desperately. Sacrifice. The war machine struck hard. Zara was thrown across the room, pain searing through her side. Lyra rushed to help but was caught in the blast. Mira shielded the others but was hit too. Zara struggled to stand, sword glowing wildly. "Finish it," Lyra gasped. With tears, Zara ran to the core, slashing through remaining guards. She set the final explosive and ran. Escaped. The base exploded in a brilliant light. The team's ship blasted off just in time. Outside, the asteroid belt shook as the Vorn base was destroyed. Zara looked back, feeling loss and hope mixed. A new dawn back on Earth. Survivors cheered as the news spread. Zara stood among them, sword raised high. The war was not over, but the light of resistance burned brighter than ever. To be continued. Voiceover. In the darkest shadows, heroes rise. The battle continues, but so does hope. The stars above Earth were no longer peaceful. Where once the Terran fleet had guarded the planet, now the sky boiled with enemy fire. Zara stood at the edge of the command deck, her armor scorched, Kale's glowing sword in her grip. Her eyes watched the distant darkness beyond the moon, where the last Vorn fleet gathered for one final attack. Behind her, Mira wrapped bandages around Eric's arm. Lyra stood quietly beside Zara, her face marked with bruises but her eyes still burning with fire. Commander Solara's voice echoed over the comms. "This is it. They are coming in full force. No more tricks, no more games. This is the end." Zara nodded, her voice calm but firm. "Then we end it our way." A planet on the edge of the Earth's surface was already scarred from the last attack. Smoke rose from destroyed buildings. Many survivors were hidden in shelters, praying, waiting. The command center was the only place still standing with full defense systems. Engineers worked to keep the shields alive. Weapons were placed across the rooftops. Everyone knew this was their last stand. Myra looked at Zara. "If they break through, there's nowhere left to run." Zara's hand tightened on the sword. "Then we don't let them through." The Vorn's final weapon suddenly, warning alarms, screamed through the base. Eric's voice shouted over the speakers. "Something big is coming through the upper atmosphere. I've never seen a ship like this before. It's massive." Solara's face appeared on screen. Her expression was serious. The Vorn have sent their capital ship. It's not just a weapon. It's a city, and it's heading straight for us. Zara turned to her team. We need to stop it before it reaches the surface. We go now. The final mission begins. Zara, Lyra, Eric, and Mira climbed aboard their last fast-strike ship. It was heavily damaged but still flight-ready. Eric had modified it with one special system, a stealth module that would only work once. As the ship lifted into the sky, Zara looked down at Earth, her home. Broken but not defeated. Above, the Vorn capital ship filled the stars like a mountain. In space, lights blinked along its hull, and its engines burned red. It was shaped like a blade, sharp and cold. Zara whispered, "Took me a while to find my sword. Now it's time to use it." Infiltrating the beast, the stealth system held just long enough for Zara's team to slip past the outer defenses. They landed on the upper hull of the enemy ship, magnetic boots keeping them attached. Using emergency airlocks and Kale's sword to cut through doors, they entered the belly of the beast. The halls were vast and quiet. Red lights blinked. Machines hissed and pulsed. Suddenly, robotic Vorn guards emerged from the shadows. The battle began. Zara moved like a storm, her sword slicing through metal. Lyra covered her with rifle fire. Eric launched EMP grenades. Mira patched wounds while shooting calmly. They pushed deeper into the ship, fighting room by room. The core of darkness, at the heart of the ship, they found the control chamber. It was a giant glass dome with a pulsing black energy orb at its center, the Vorn brain, controlling every soldier, every drone. The moment they stepped inside, the door slammed shut. A deep voice filled the room. "You are brave, but foolish." From the shadows, the Vorn warlord appeared. He was massive, twice Zara's height, with black armor and glowing red eyes. "Your kind will never rule the stars," he said. Zara raised Kale's sword. "We don't want to rule. We want to live free." The final duel, the fight was brutal. The warlord struck with crushing strength. Each blow from his weapon sent shockwaves through the room. But Zara was faster, her movements guided by Kale's memory and her own rage. Clashed, sparks flew. Eric and Lyra tried to help, but the warlord released a shockwave that knocked them back. Zara stood alone, face bloody, armor broken. The warlord laughed. "You are alone." But then she smiled. "No, not alone." Behind the warlord, Mira had crawled forward and planted a charge on the energy orb. The warlord turned, too late. The explosion rocked the room. The control orb shattered. Across the galaxy, Vorn units froze and shut down. A final strike. Zara saw her chance. With a cry of fury, she leaped forward and drove Kale's sword through the warlord's chest. He screamed, his voice echoing like thunder. His body fell, metal cracking. Eyes fading to darkness. The ship began to shake. Without the core, it was falling apart. "We have to go," Eric shouted. The team ran back through the burning corridors. Explosions followed behind. They reached the ship just in time. As they blasted away, the Vorn capital ship exploded in a blinding wave of light. Earth saved back on Earth. People looked up and saw the explosion in the sky. A cheer rose from every shelter, every ruined street. Solara smiled from the control center. They did it. Zara's ship landed softly near the base. Smoke and fire rose behind them, but Earth was still here, still breathing. The team stepped out bruised, tired, but alive. Children ran up to them, cheering. Survivors clapped and cried. Zara looked at Kale's sword. Its light had dimmed, but its work was done. A new beginning. Weeks passed. The skies were quiet. The stars no longer held danger. The Terran fleet began helping rebuild. Colonies sent supplies. The war was over. One morning, Zara stood in the center of New Avalon City, where a statue was being raised. It showed Kale, sword in hand, standing tall. Lyra stood beside her. "We lost so much," she said softly. Zara nodded. But we gained something too. Unity. Hope. Eric and Mira joined them. Mira smiled. What will you do now? Zara looked. To the stars. Rest, then help others fight back. The Vorn weren't the only threat in the galaxy. Legacy of a sword that night. Zara placed Kale's sword in a crystal case in the center of the new command center. A symbol of freedom. Of sacrifice. Children would come and touch the glass. Survivors would tell stories. Songs would be written. Zara became a name whispered with respect across worlds, but she never wanted fame. She wanted peace. She often stood alone at night, watching the stars, waiting, listening, because she knew something the others didn't. Never truly ends, but neither does courage. Epilogue. A signal in the dark, somewhere far from Earth. In a cold sector of space, a machine blinked to life. A shadow moved behind a broken moon. A message was sent in a strange language. A new enemy had noticed Earth. But this time, Earth was ready. Series, ending voiceover, optional for YouTube narration. They came to conquer. We rose to fight. They brought fear. We found strength. The stars belong to no one. And freedom is always worth the war.